Hello, doctor.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome, doctor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, doctor.
Hello everyone.
Hello, doctor.
Hello.
Ülke merhaba, nasılsın?
Merhaba hocam. İyiyim. Siz nasılsınız? Teşekkürler.
İyidir, iyidir, sağ ol.
Shall we start now?
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Firstly, on behalf of myself and our esteemed guests, I would like to welcome all of you to our conference today. I'm Amin Al-Asfar, the National Officer on Human Rights and Peace at the Medical Student Association Northern Cyprus, Misang, and I am 50-year medical student at Near East University. As you are aware that COVID-19 pandemic has been rampant for more than a year now, and this global threat has prompted immediate action from all nations of the world. One of the products of such endeavor has been the numerous vaccines which are available today. Also welcomed and sought after by many, the arrival of the vaccines has been less than ideal, with vast proportions of the population having doubts and uncertainty regarding their production, safety, and efficacy. Today's conference aimed to shed light on such issue, clarify misconceptions, and provide thorough information with the hopes that the public may be relieved of their anxiety and fear, and instead gain a clear and substantial understanding of the vaccines. Our event includes 4 sessions, 3 sessions with the main speakers, and the last session is questions and answers. And we are going to start with Professor Dr. Kaya. Firstly, let me introduce for you Professor Dr. Kaya Swear, his achievements after identification of the first COVID-19 case in Northern Cyprus. He became membership at Prime Minister Science Board, COVID-19 coordinator at Near East Hospital, membership at Ministry of Health Vaccination Commission, membership of the Ministry of Health Pandemic Monitoring Committee, co-authors and 3 articles in the researches on COVID-19, and currently he's working on a COVID-19 resource. I would like kindly to ask Dr. Kaya to start.
Okay, I'm trying to open my presentation first.
All right.
Do you see my presentation?
No.
Okay, first of all, I enter the present now, and a window, is it right?
Yes.
Yes, it's a window.
But my presentation is not, it's open now in my screen. Now do you see?
No.
No.
Yes, now it's presented.
Okay. I will start my presentation. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Medical Student Association for their success, because you are become the real member of the World Medical Student Association. It's very important for the TRNC.
Thank you very
And
much.
in the presentation, I will talk about the vaccines and how they are made and why it's hard to make vaccine and what are the difference between the COVID-19 vaccine. It's about 20 minutes. The history beginning in December 29, 2019 in Wuhan City in China, you know, and then the World Health Organization declared the pandemic in the date March 11, 2020. Last night I checked, 18 March 2021, more than 120 million people confirmed cases. I think the total cases number is more than this number. And about 2.6 million people died. That depends on this infection. 15 March 2021, about 363 million people vaccinated in all of the world. Still, a lot of country doesn't have any vaccination in their country. It's complicated to produce vaccine. It requires significant investment in order to produce effective and large-scale vaccine. As you know, we have some different types of vaccine in the worldwide, but the product numbers is different for each one. Most maybe the mRNA vaccine could be produced more numbers, but Sinovac, which is the traditional vaccine, could be produced about 2 billion in a year. And you know, the world population is about 8.5 billions. And the 60% of the population must be vaccinated to stop the pandemic. In Northern Cyprus, until today, we are vaccinated about 40,000 people. Both private and the large public investment from the governments around the world are being spent on research and development of the COVID-19 vaccine. Vaccine development, having safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine will be an important tool to assist the long-term management of COVID-19. When you look at these infections, for example, yellow fever, first of all, virus discovered in about 100 years ago, and vaccine developed in 1935. It takes 35 years. But the other viral infections also takes a long period for the produce vaccine. Still, we don't have any vaccine against the HIV and hepatitis C virus. And also,
The slides are not moving if you are...
Sorry?
The slides are not changing.
Now, do you see the table?
No, it's stuck.
Here is the first page of presentation, is it right?
Yes.
And second one?
No, still same.
A picture about the vaccine?
It's stuck on the first slide, which is the title and the production. maybe if you use the mouse, not the keyboard for changing the slides.
No, in
But
my
one by one.
screen, slide is changing, no problem.
Ah, okay.
But now the screen, you must see how long does it take to develop a vaccine as a picture, a table. Do you see this one?
No, it's the same.
Hocam belki kapatıp başkalarını paylaşsanız düzelir mi? Çünkü şimdi oldu.
Şimdi görüyor musunuz?
Evet.
Yes.
Sol tarafta şeyleri de görüyor musun Gülpiye, diğer slaytları?
Evet görüyorum. Hocam
Tamam.
büyüklerseniz daha iyi olmaz mı?
O zaman böyle devam edeyim. Okay, I will
Tamam.
continue like this. Okay. To create a new vaccine, normally it takes long years. For example, in the yellow fever virus, the virus discovered in this date, and after 35 years later, the vaccine is produced against the yellow fever. And still for the hepatitis C and the HIV, we doesn't have any vaccination. Normally, vaccine development take a long period, but in the pandemic situation, in the worldwide, it depends on the COVID-19, the development of vaccines for COVID-19 is advancing rapidly for many reasons. Because the advance in the science and the technology, and second, international collaboration between the scientists, healthcare professionals, research, industry, and the governments. And also, a lot of people give the money for to increase the private fund. You know, the COVID-19 entered the human body by the ACE2 receptor. Angiotensin converting enzyme type 2 is a type 1 is the membrane protein expressed into the normally in the heart, lungs, kidney, and gastrointestinal system. That's why in the clinical situation we are seeing this kind of points, more clinical findings. For example, in the systemic disorders, we will see the fever, cough, fatigue, and the sputum production, headache, and also rhinorrhea and the sneezing. It depends on the system. We are seeing some kind of clinical presentation. For entry into the target cell, which is the angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors, target cells, the virus first binds to this receptor ACE2 on the host cell, and the additionally uses the TMPRS22 as a receptor. It's another point for the coronavirus attached to human cells. You know, the coronavirus has the S protein, spike protein. Most of the vaccines produce against the spike protein, S protein, because the S protein especially connect to ACE2 receptor and then enter the human body. After the replication, released the new coronavirus and then infected the other persons also. The S-glycoprotein is a type 1 fusion protein associated with the virus tropism. This protein is responsible for the entry of the virus into the cell and binding to cell surface receptors. Therefore, glycoprotein S is the main target of the neutralizing antibodies associated with the protective immunity. One of the most important problems in the vaccine preparation process is the potential for the viral proteins to change due to mutation. As you know, in the viral infections, mutations seen every day. a lot of mutations could be seen, but most of them is not important for the clinical situation. Some of the mutation is severe and change the clinical situation of the disease. For example, if you look at the Northern Cyprus in the February and the January in this year, our patients numbers increase very high, too high. That's why this people's infected with the COVID-19, all the precautions, because the B117.1 mutation, English mutation, also called, came to Northern Cyprus. Now, in this period, every day we check the results in our university. When we diagnosed COVID-19 patients, about 50–60% has this mutation. That's why to create a vaccine depends on the mutation. Is not easy for a long period. In this way, it's suggested that modified field viruses may escape from the immunity obtained with the vaccine and cause disease in the vaccinated individuals. And also, you know, a lot of people in the world are infected, vaccinated, but after the vaccination, depends on the mutation. Some of the people infected with the SARS-CoV-2. It has been shown that 2 or 3 changes may occur on the same epitope even during the vaccine development process. Considering possible mutation in vaccine antigen selection subtypes that are dominant in the field should be taken into the account. This way, the vaccine success is not 100%. The type of vaccine until today, first of all, I will talk about the complete viral vaccine. They are divided 2 groups: attenuated live vaccines and the inactivated vaccines. And second group, viral vector vaccine, subunit vaccine, and nucleic acid vaccines. To complete viral vaccines, live attenuated vaccines are prepared with the virulent virus strains using the different methods. Inactive vaccines can be prepared with the killed strains of the pathogens using a chemical or physical methods, ultraviolet or the heat. In the complete viral vaccines, live attenuated vaccines can be stimulate both the humoral and the cellular immune response. It's very good results for the vaccines, but the live vaccines is not popular in the COVID-19. Genetic recombination and mutational change can be seen with the field viruses. Studies to develop attenuated vaccines against coronavirus, that's why they are not so popular. Inactivated vaccines prepared directly with the pathogen strains and are safe. And the disadvantage, the short duration of the immunity provide for us, and it requires 2 doses of vaccination, and also could be more expensive when we compare the other vaccines group. But now in the worldwide, with the vaccine price, there is no big differences. And the viral vector vaccines, these vaccines, in which are the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein sequence is added to adenovirus vector, which is not capable of reproducing. Disadvantages of this kind of vaccines. A possible disadvantage is the stronger immune response to vector, which is the adenovirus proteins rather than the SARS-CoV-2 S protein. If the person to be vaccinated carries adenovirus antibodies, the vector adenovirus applied for vaccination can easily undergo immune elimination. In the subunit vaccines, the feature of the subunit vaccines is that optimization and production studies are fast. Since this type of vaccines contain only the antigenic parts of the pathogens, these proteins can be presented to the immune system more easily and the immune response can be directly stimulated. However, the frequency of side effects may increase due to use of the adjuvant. The nucleic acid vaccines. In nucleic acid vaccines, similarly to subunit vaccines, specific proteins of the target pathogen are selected as the immunogenic epitope, but these proteins are developed as either plasmid DNA or the RNA sequences. Vaccines in the category provide convenience in the antigen manipulation. This could be an advantage. And gene regions encoding to S protein are generally taken as a basis in the development of such vaccines. First of all, I will compare some vaccines. Oxford, AstraZeneca in the USA, Moderna in the USA, and the Deutschland, Pfizer, BioNTech, and Sputnik vaccines. As you know, the AstraZeneca viral vector vaccines, and they need 2 doses, and the effectivity is between 62 and 90%. And the storage is important for the vaccines. Regular fridge temperature is enough for the Oxford Zeneca vaccine. Costs about £3 in England, but in the other countries the price is different. Moderna is one of the RNA vaccine, mRNA, part of virus genetic code used, and also 2 doses, and they explained the results activity about 95%. But the storage condition is important, minus 20 degrees up to 6 months we can storage, and the price is about £25. And the BioNTech, another RNA vaccine, need the 2 doses and the 95% activity, but the storage minus 70 degrees is very important to transfer the vaccine point to point. The price is about £15. And the Sputnik, another viral vector, need the 2 doses and the 92%, and also regular fridge is okay for the storage. Price is about £7.5. Another comparison table with the Sinovac and the Sinopharm. We talk about this one. Sinovac and the Sinopharm, China, both of them is inactivated virus. 2 doses is necessary in after the first dosage, 4 weeks later the second dosage. The storage, normal regular fridge is okay. 2 to 8 degrees is enough for the storage for the vaccine. Novavax and other vaccines is a protein-based vaccine, but this vaccine is not successful in the worldwide. Now, no, I don't know. That's why the more information about this vaccine. Another vaccine, Johnson & Johnson, another viral vector vaccine. Only one dosage is enough, they say, but still we don't know the activity after the vaccination. And you can storage at the refrigerator between the 2 and the 8 degree for 3 months. The COVID-19 vaccines has some side effects. I will talk about the Sinopharm and the Moderna and the BioNTech Pfizer. Sinopharm, pain at the injection site and the tiredness, headache, muscle joint pain and the shake and the fever, nausea, vomiting could be seen after the vaccination. I cannot give the percentage of these results, but in the other groups, for example, in Pfizer, BioNTech vaccination, the injection site pain about 84%, and they feel tired, headache, muscle aches, joint pain, and chills, fevers could be seen a lot of vaccinated people. But some of the people had the Bell's palsy after the vaccination, only for about this knowledge about for 2 weeks, 2 months. Bell's palsy seen after the vaccination. In the Moderna group, another American vaccine, here is the side effects and also Bell's palsy seen in the 3 peoples. And also all of the vaccine, anyone can make the allergic reactions, especially viral vectors, vaccines, and the RNA vaccines makes the more allergic reactions in the vaccinated people. Looking at the experiences we have gained from the recent past, since different coronavirus outbreak, such as SARS-CoV-1 about 20 years ago, and MERS coronavirus in 2010, and the COVID-19, it's clear that it's necessary to prepare for the next possible epidemic. And moving from here, even when the current epidemic is over, drug and the vaccine developments studies should be interrupted, and the human-animal natural life intersections should be carefully monitored and protected. AstraZeneca, start to use in the worldwide, but makes some thromboembolic problems in the Europe. 12th country doesn't give the permission to use to the people with the new knowledge. Thank you very much. Okay, if you have any question, maybe end of the now I can answer.
At the end, we will have a section for questions, if you agree. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Sakaya, and for this presentation. It was very beneficial and had many useful information for us. Thank you very much for this. And now I would like to move on to our next speaker. Assistant Professor Dr. Gulfi Abdushakur. She had completed a bachelor degree in medicine from Xianjiao Tong University in China, worked as a health physician at the Disease Prevention and Control Center in Xinjiang Autonomous Region in Xinjiang, China for 3 years. She had continued her master and PhD studies in the Faculty of Medicine at the National University of Malaysia in the field of public health. At the same time, she had worked in the national and international organizations with the various positions in some countries, including the United Nations University in Malaysia, MRC Center in Canada, NTU Singapore, and Hacettepe University in Turkey. Since February 2018, she has been working as an assistant professor at the Department of Public Health, Faculty of Medicine at our university, Nearest University. Her main teaching and research interests are in the areas of women and child health, adolescent sexual and reproductive health, family planning and contraceptive methods, epidemiology, and evidence-based medicine. I would like kindly to ask the Assistant Professor, Dr. Gulfi Abdushakur, to start.
Thank you, Amin, for the introduction. And I'm going to share my screen now. It's okay, right? The screen. Can you see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me for this event and giving me the opportunity to share my views on this topic. This is actually a very huge topic to talk about in 20 minutes, but I will try to sum up some of my views. So I will talk about vaccine nationalism and its impact on global health. So I would like to start with the global situation of COVID-19 by yesterday, actually. This is the latest data on yesterday. So there are like about 120 million people confirmed cases on COVID-19, and also 2.6 million, more than 2.6 million people actually died because of this pandemic. And if you can see the chart, Americas and Europe are the most affected areas in the world, and followed by Southeast Asian countries. So in order to stop the pandemic, sorry, I'm hearing some noise. Is it from me or?
It's Dr. Kaya, could you please close your microphone?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So in order to stop this pandemic, actually, we are using all these public health measures, actually masking and also the distancing and stuff. But the strong measurement is actually come up with a very effective vaccine to stop the transmission of this disease. That's why during last year, lots of government and also the research institutions, they are racing to come up with a successful vaccine candidates. And in normal condition, the vaccine development takes years actually. In average, it takes 10 to 15 years for one vaccine to be developed, because we have so many stages in clinical trials, and each one of these stages actually takes years to be completed. But this COVID-19 is somehow global emergency, and it's actually causing lots of huge mortality and morbidity among population. That's why this vaccine development actually is accelerated during last year. And all these stages, preclinical and then clinical trial stages, actually conducted parallelly or concurrently. That's why we had this, the first vaccine, the successful vaccine, in 325 days, even less than a year. So if we look closely to the timeline, from the first, the genome sequencing release of this virus, SARS-CoV-2 virus, it was released on 5th of February last year. And from that until the first vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, to be approved, it just took like 8 months. And after that, the Moderna vaccine actually was approved. So people will think that this vaccine actually just took less than a year to be developed and it's not reliable. So this is actually closely related to people's the vaccine hesitancy. Actually, this is another issue that the public health, the government actually dealing with. So actually, this is not developed. It is developed in 1 year, but this is the result of years of advanced research and development in those big pharmaceutical companies and research institutions, and also those technology used in the development of those vaccines are already used in other vaccines, actually already used and developed so many other vaccines, but except mRNA vaccine technology. This is a new technology, but it was actually developed to used for other vaccines like degenerative vaccine or cancer vaccines. So they used this new technology for this pandemic, because this is kind of emergency situation, and they are successful, but not because they had this new technology over the years. It's actually years of research result actually. And also we can see during last year close collaboration of the scientific community worldwide. We can see the real-time data sharing and information sharing about the disease, and all this scientific knowledge about this disease. Actually, this built up the foundation for the development of the vaccine, and also manufacturing and production capabilities of these companies and also countries, because during this phase 2 and 3 clinical trials, companies need lots of vaccines to be produced, to be used on the volunteers to test the efficacy and effectiveness of the drug. So this is not actually the result of 1 year research. It's actually the result of years of research and development. But there are some factors actually unique to COVID-19 vaccine development. This disease actually different from other diseases. This actually affected everyone worldwide. Actually, everybody affected, everybody is at risk, because this disease doesn't discriminate based on age, race, or income level or anything. So everybody is concerned, everybody is at risk, and it affected all the household. Actually, the global economy is actually disrupted by this disease. So all these factors drive the countries, especially those developed countries, to invest on this vaccine development, because they realize that this is the only way out from this pandemic. So there were massive investment on the vaccine development last year, and those developed countries used advanced purchasing agreements. And this is kind of agreements that the government will have with the manufacturing companies directly. So they actually invest on the candidates to be developed. And once the vaccine is developed, so those countries will be the first in line to get the vaccines. So this is kind of agreement that most of the developed countries had. And this is actually at the end of the day reflected on the vaccine nationalism that we are talking about today. And another important factor for this vaccine to be developed in a very short period of time is pharmaceutical companies and also those investors. They have foreseen this huge potential market for COVID-19 vaccine. If you think that there are 8 billion of people worldwide, so those companies should produce at least 16 billion of vaccines. So this is a huge market, and they want to see how much return in investment they can get. So those are the drivers actually make this vaccine so special, and the development was really rapid. And we got, as a result of these efforts, we have now 14 vaccines actually in the market used by the countries. 4 of them actually already got approval from the WHO, this emergency usage authorization. Those 4 vaccines are Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J and AstraZeneca vaccines. But the rest of the 10 vaccines are not yet got approval from the WHO, but they got approval from the local authorities. That's why they are being used for the local administration. And globally, it's reported that during this year, 21 billion vaccine will be produced, and half of them actually already purchased by some developed countries and also some middle-income countries. And the COVAX facility is one of the initiatives that is developed by WHO, and this facility is to facilitate those low middle-income countries to get the vaccine needs. So this is actually helping out to balance with this vaccine nationalism. So they secured 3.5 billion vaccines so far. And the price of the vaccines, this vaccine, 14 vaccines we are talking about, is actually range from $2 to $44. It's actually very important. This we are talking about millions dosage of vaccine here. So in order for low middle income countries to get the vaccine, to buy up those vaccines, the vaccine should be affordable. So this is very important factor for this vaccine nationalism to be prevented. So this the lowest priced vaccine, $2 price vaccine, is actually manufactured in India. India has this biggest manufacturers around the world, actually the Serum Institute of India. They have agreement with AstraZeneca so they can manufacture big scale of vaccine actually with their facilities. So they have this very low price vaccine. Doesn't mean this vaccine is not good. That's because they can manufacture in a big scale. So they want those low middle income countries to have the access to this vaccine. That's why they put the price very low, but they have different pricing for different countries. So this is the lowest price that countries can get. And the $44 is from the China, Beijing Institute of Biologics. So they have $44 vaccine. This is the most expensive one, but this vaccine did not get a WHO approval yet, but they are using it in the local settings. So before we get into vaccine nationalism, what is it? I want to show you some data so you can actually understand from the statistics and the figures, so what's going on and why we say there is a problem in accessibility and stuff. So far, there was like 8.5 billion COVID vaccine was purchased by the countries. And if we look at the country income level, so half of those vaccines are bought up by the high-income countries. So those high-income countries are the US, UK, and the European Union countries. So those countries actually consist of only 16% of the world's population. Compared to those lower middle and low-income countries, they actually constitute of more than 50% of the world's population, but they have only 1.5 billion vaccine available for them. So this is kind of showing us there's a big gap in accessibility in vaccines. And also, if you look at these individual countries, their income level and also the purchasing agreement they have with the manufacturers about population, the vaccine and the population coverage. So these light yellow colors are the high-income countries. And if you can see, all those high-income countries have more than 100% coverage vaccine. Actually, they purchased, actually it's exceeded their needs. So versus for those countries with light blue and dark green are the low middle income countries and low income countries. Some countries even doesn't have, they don't have any vaccine for their high risk population. For example, India is a low middle income country and it has the biggest manufacturing facility around the world, but they actually, the Prime Minister actually promote that we can keep 50% of the manufacturing, 50% of the product and 50% will be exported or donated for other countries. So this is the spirit that we want actually from those developed countries, because they had exceeded vaccine, but they don't want to share with others. And you can see like lots of countries actually having no vaccine at all. And if you just see, you know, the exact amount of vaccine that those countries have purchased, Canada actually leading the amount of vaccine they have. Canada has 9 times more vaccine compared with their population, and following by other developed countries. And those are the middle income countries like Brazil, Malaysia, and Turkey and Indonesia. So those countries have less vaccines to cover their population, but still those countries are in a good situation, I guess, compared to these countries, because those 130 countries have no vaccine at all for their populations yet. So this is also another way of showing how this gap is actually becoming bigger and bigger. And some people argue that those developed countries have, more burden of COVID-19, and they invested on the vaccine previously, so they should get the vaccine for their population. So this is not totally true, because if you look at Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, and Chile and EU, those countries and those European Union countries are not really hit by the COVID-19 that much compared to some of the countries here, because these countries have more population compared to those countries. And you can actually have enough vaccine for your own population, but you cannot have like exceeded vaccine and you just put on the shelf and just, for secure your own population and think that you will use this when you need it, While some of the countries, like most of the countries here, actually have no vaccine at all for their high-risk population. So this is kind of a wrong perception. I am not agree with that. And this is the latest data about the population who received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Israel actually leading the world with this because they have already vaccinated more than about 60% of their population. At least one dose vaccine, actually, those people have got, and followed by United Kingdom and other countries. But if you look at the down part of the chart, you have Indonesia, India, South Korea, and South Africa, and Nigeria. Those countries are having at least coverage of their population actually being vaccinated. But just looking at the percentage is not actually reflecting sometimes the true fact, because if you look at the population, the number of people who received at least one dose, United States actually leading the world. That means United States is actually already vaccinated the more people compared to others, because they have more population. So when you convert the percentage, it will be small. So in this way also, again, those developing countries are on the down part of the chart. But just want to remind you guys, these South Korea, South Africa, and Brazil, Indonesia, India, those countries have very good biotechnology industry, and they have a vaccine manufacturing capacity, and they actually can produce, can manufacture actually vaccines for their own population, but still they are in the down part of the chart. And this is a projection about how long it takes for the vaccine to be reached for everyone in the world. So if you can see, this blue colored are the developed countries. So all developed countries will be vaccinated, the people in these countries will be vaccinated by end of this year. And this dark purple is African Union countries and some Central Asian countries. They are the last one to be vaccinated. And there's another few years ahead actually for them to be vaccinated. So all these figures and statistics shows us there's vaccine inequities around the world between countries. So actually it's exactly what it's going on, like many governments in wealthy countries scrambling to sign deals with pharmaceutical companies directly, as we said earlier, using these advanced purchasing agreements to secure vaccines for their own population, even they have exceeded vaccines. So other countries have no vaccine at all. So this inequity is not only in securing the vaccine, actually it's actually reflecting on all layers of this vaccination. So manufacturing, supplying, distributing, and deliveries. So all aspects, developing countries actually having difficulties and inequities in this vaccine accessibility. So this kind of vaccine nationalism or unfairness actually can be seen within countries as well. Just a few weeks ago, there was a case, there was a protest in Argentina. I don't know if you have seen it or not. So people were protesting because these vaccines was administered not, the administration is not in line with the high-risk group that should be vaccinated. Some people in low-risk groups also vaccinated just because they have the power or they have known someone and stuff like that. So this kind of unfairness happen within countries as well. And just now, actually, in last few days, there were concern about J&J vaccine in the US. So now some communities in color, like Spanish and Black communities, are getting J&J vaccine instead of Pfizer and Moderna vaccine. So those communities actually protesting and saying that they are discriminated in terms of getting the best vaccine they have. So they think that Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine is the best because the effectiveness is 95%. J&J vaccine is not that good, even though it's like only one shot, it's 78% effective. So people think that they are discriminated against their color. So this is kind of issues that we are facing within countries and between countries. But this is not the first time actually we are having this kind of problems. In 2009, influenza pandemic also happened the same thing. The US, UK, and other European Union countries, they actually bought up most of the vaccines. So other countries have no vaccine at all for their population. This happened before. And also this vaccine nationalism, we are talking about vaccine, but it's not unique to vaccine only. It happened for medications and medical supplies. We have seen this last year during pandemic, the first period of pandemic, like May, June, even this April. During that time, we have seen that there is a shortage of personal protective equipment, masks. So those countries actually banned those medical supplies to be exported to other countries. And the UK has a list of medications are banned to export to other countries. The list was always there, but in 2019, there was only 37 medications on the list, but in 2020, March, the list of medications increased to 174, and some of the medications on the list actually proven to be very effective in COVID-19 treatment. So this is kind of issue as well we are facing, and the US also have his own share on this. The US bought off the entire global supply of this medication, which is very effective in COVID-19 treatment as well for 3 months. So this is kind of issues going on and happening. So WHO chief actually during January or the 1st February, he actually said that this vaccine nationalism puts world on the brink of catastrophic moral failure, because less than 1 month from the vaccination started, only 25 people were vaccinated in Africa compared to 39 million in rich countries. So this is like showing the huge disparities between countries. And also it was predicted that only 27% of people in low middle income countries will be vaccinated by end of this year. So this is a huge problem. And if we think that why this happened, there are so many multi-factors actually underlying this phenomenon actually. Human factors, political factors, economic factors, and healthcare system factors. I wouldn't get into the detail of this, but these are the factors actually really as a driving factors for vaccine nationalism to be happen. So if you think about the impact of this phenomenon on the global health, I say global health because we are talking about global issue, and this is actually affecting everyone on the globe. So if this continues, the vaccine nationalism, it will widen the existing inequalities between countries and within countries. So this is very obvious. And if the pandemic prolongs, like if it continues like that for another few years, the mortality and morbidity related to this disease will increase also, especially in low middle income countries. And this COVID-19 pandemic actually increased various disease burden in low middle income countries, other diseases, because some countries have their own endemic infectious diseases. And there are chronic diseases actually the government and people have to deal with. But nowadays, lots of countries, those low middle income countries, they have shortage of supplies, shortage of resources. They are putting it to control COVID-19. So they don't have enough resources actually focus on other diseases or the chronic diseases. So the last year, actually, lots of cancer and other chronic diseases are a lack of medicine supplies and stuff. So it was, if this continues, this actually continues as well. And it will, again, overwhelm the healthcare system and burn out healthcare professionals. And again, it will lead to shortage of health facilities and equipment. It's kind of bad circle. And it will draw back the accessibility of various primary care services like family planning and the reproductive health services. So all these lockdown and the hospitals are dedicated to COVID-19, so people don't really go and do their follow-ups and get the basic services. So these kind of services will lead to unwanted pregnancies, unsafe abortion rate, and at the end of the day, it will lead to maternal mortality and infant mortality rate increase, especially in these low middle income countries. And it will, this vaccine nationalism will impact the global economy also again continuously. So if those rich nations or regions, if they support these low middle income countries to get the vaccine, they might just spend $25 billion to actually solve their problems. But if they continue to just think about themselves like this, so they will actually lose 119 billion annually, and globally, this much of money, I mean, the economy will be lost. So because it will decline the global economics, like borders will be closed again, because you protect your own population and you vaccinate your own people, but if you open the borders, other people will come in and the infections will continue, and so it will be ineffective. So continuously lock down the borders, it will affect lots of business and the tourism and stuff, and also it will disrupt the economic partnership between developing and developed countries. At the end of the day, it will lead to poverty and unemployment rates. So those are the negative circumstances actually the world is facing. So what is being done to prevent this vaccine nationalism? So WHO actually come up with this international distribution plan. It has two phases. Phase one is to allocate 2 billion dosage of vaccine to all countries, whichever sign up this COVAX facility, to cover 20% of their population. So this 20% includes the healthcare workers, older adults, and also people with serious health conditions. So once this 20% of population is covered, then the second phase will start. So in second phase, they will expand the coverage. If there's shortage of vaccine, so then the vaccine will be allocated based on the COVID-19 burden and also healthcare vulnerability of healthcare system of the country. So in order to implement this plan, so the WHO has this solution to do that. The ACT accelerator was actually established to reach the objectives. So they have 4 pillars: vaccine pillar, therapeutics, and diagnostics, and healthcare system pillars. So different agencies are actually responsible for different, different pillars. So vaccine initiatives, vaccine actually was the responsibility of Gavi, CEPI, and World Health Organization and UNICEF. So they come up with the COVAX facility to achieve the objectives. So the objective is to end the acute phase of the pandemic by the end of this year by delivering 2 billion dosage of vaccine for those vulnerable countries, low middle income countries, and 1 billion syringe also should be sent and delivered to those countries, and 190 countries actually supported by this initiative. And then this is the data by yesterday, latest data. And the COVAX facility, COVAX initiative, actually for now secured 1.1 billion dosage of vaccine. And this vaccine will be allocated for those countries. And the light green is low income countries, and the yellow is lower middle income countries. So it's kind of planned for the first half of 2021. So the amount, the bubble size of the bubble is actually the amount of vaccine to be delivered. It's actually weighted based on the population that those countries has. So those green colored countries are the first line, are on the first line to be sent the vaccines. So as the launching of this initiative, it's already started. So Ghana was the first country to send the 600,000 dosage of vaccine on 24th of February. After 2 days, another African country had the vaccine. Then it followed up again with another 2 countries. So about 2 countries will get 11 million dosage next week. So this is like slowly moving on. This is something good, actually. something positive, but still this initiative is having problem is getting funding from the governments. So hopefully this can be solved. So if you look at the global situation in vaccination, right? So all these dark blue are the countries have more people vaccinated and more coverage compared to those white colored and the light green colored are less vaccinated countries. So again, Central Asian countries and African countries shows no data or very light. That means they are not vaccinated yet. So, so far during 3 months from the first country started vaccination, it was UK. So 400 million dosage vaccine administrated and 85% actually administrated in 10 high-income countries and in European Union countries. So we want to, we hope that this trend will change soon, but still there is a hope. Actually, there are some countries are donating vaccines to other countries to help them out. So, so far there's 16 million vaccine donated in total, and India actually donated 8.1 million, more than that. China actually donated 7.3 million dosage of vaccine, and then this green, light green is India, the places that India has donated vaccine. So it's mainly in Africa and some Latin American countries and Asia, but this dark green is China. So it's again, it's Southeast Asian countries and African countries. So this is something good, and we don't want to think about negative agenda under this, but still we hope that more countries actually donate the excessive vaccines that they have. So everybody can get the benefit. So as a summary, the successful control of COVID-19 pandemic is actually depend on the prevention of vaccine nationalism. This is one of the biggest factors actually stopping us from having successful control. So those developed countries can actually negotiate with big pharmaceutical companies and to scale up manufacturing of vaccines. And also they can have some agreement like to share IP rights, or they have a technology transfer form of, or joint venture kind of form of sharing IPs. So they can actually have the generic form of vaccine, so more people can access to vaccine in affordable prices. And Sanofi actually having agreement with BioNTech. So Sanofi GSK is actually manufacturing BioNTech vaccine, so they can actually scale up. This can, hopefully this will speed up the vaccine manufacturing. And also another way that they can do is exporting the exceeded amount of vaccine that they have, or donating to other countries, those who have no purchasing power to actually buy the vaccine. So India is a good example, and China as well. So we hope that other countries can do the same. So with this, I will end my presentation by saying this word by WHO: no one is safe until everyone is safe. So thank you for listening. That's it from me.
Thank you very much, Assistant Professor Dr. Gulfiye, for sharing such a valuable information with us. It was very beneficial. And for now, I would like to apologize for the attendees and speakers that the third speaker is not going to be available, Dr. Khalid Haddad, because he got an emergency patient. And sorry for this. So we can skip directly to the questions section. Firstly, we got the questions in the application form before the meeting. So if anyone would like to ask any question, could you please raise the hand button or write in the comment. But firstly, I would like to start with the questions that we received early. I'll start the first two for Professor Dr. Kaya. First question is, some tests are done through nasopharynx, other through throat, and now in China through anal swab. If it's that respiratory infection, then what determines such a test in China? Yes, doctor. Dr. Kaya, can you hear me?
In China, start to use anal samples
Yeah.
to diagnose the virus, because the ACE receptor could be found also in the gastrointestinal system. That's why this could be used, but I think is not effective for the all people, and also the virus, I think, cannot live a long period in the stool and the outside of the human body, because there is no cells. That's why the nasal materials is better to diagnose for the COVID-19.
All right. Thank you, Doctor, for the answer. We'll go to the second question. The virus rapidly mutating and giving rise to many different strains in different countries. What impact do the strains have on the efficacy of the vaccine culture currently and in the future?
The mutation is a big problem for us, because we know there's some mutations in the worldwide. For example, in Northern Cyprus, we have the English mutation. These vaccines, they created by the different methods, but and also in Turkey, a lot of people use the China vaccine Sinopharm. After the vaccination, some mutation is not covered by this vaccine. That's why the flu vaccines, every year these vaccines will change, and then we will use the vaccine for a long period until the stop pandemic. In the advantage of the mRNA vaccines, they can make the difference. They can make the, I don't know how can say, they can make the change in the vaccines against the mutation, and then coverage very short period. But the traditional vaccines, inactivated vaccines, they don't have this kind of advantage. It's could be a problem because the mutations escape from the vaccine coverage.
Doctor, thank you very much. We have a question from Dr. Ozen Asud. What do you think about the AstraZeneca vaccine ban by some countries? Dr. Kaya, do you hear me?
Yeah, this question is to me?
Yeah, from Dr. Ozen Asud. What do you think about the AstraZeneca vaccine ban by some countries?
In the AstraZeneca vaccine, after the AstraZeneca vaccines, some thromboembolic problems seen, and this is a really important situation. That's why some countries they stopped to using this vaccine in their country, especially in Europe. But this thromboembolic problems is not too much. But if something it's happened to someone, is important. But also, the vaccine production has a lot of lots. Maybe in the some of the laws this kind of problem could be seen. That's why I think they are checking the which lot is make this kind of trauma problems. Maybe Dr. Bibia add something.
Okay, thank you, Hocam. Actually, today just WHO has this announcement or this about a statement about this AstraZeneca vaccine. They say that they already have this kind of final decision or the statement about the safety and efficacy of this vaccine. It's safe, actually, if you look at the data, and because this vaccine has been through all these clinical trials among 17 million of people. So it's already proven to be safe and effective, but those side effects are actually normal for those vaccines. Even for other vaccines also, there are similar amount of side effects and the type of side effects happen. And if you compare with the general population, this the side effect is not high, actually not significantly high among these vaccinated people using this AstraZeneca. So I think I have read some articles about this, and this is maybe due to this UK, this is kind of geopolitics and some countries, the conflict between countries, because UK has banned the AstraZeneca vaccine to be exported to other countries because they have no enough vaccine for their own population. I mean, so the EU countries were complaining about they didn't have the delivery of those vaccines because they already paid for it. So those kind of issues actually at the end of the day end up with saying that this AstraZeneca vaccine have more side effect compared to others, but it's not proven actually related to the vaccine directly. And also other vaccines like BioNTech, Moderna vaccine also have the similar effect and the similar amount of people actually have blood clot and stuff. So this is not really an issue now because it's already proven by the WHO that the vaccine is safe. So I think the countries will slowly release the bans, and I think today one of the countries, actually Italy, because the cases are increasing rapidly. So I think they already released the ban. So they are start using AstraZeneca vaccine again from today. So I think this problem will be solved soon because there are shortage of vaccine, So you cannot actually be too whiny about the vaccine side effects in this situation. So that's what I think.
I think it's more also political, right, Doctor? It's more political.
It's an underlying factor is the political issues and also this geopolitics, I don't know, if you just use like layman's words, it's like, who's stronger, who can actually, revenge more, something like that. I'm not really sure. But it's a very complicated issue. One country ban this vaccine and have these negative comments about one vaccine. So it actually will have very huge negative impact among people because people are having hesitancy, The acceptance is not high, and you are just saying that this vaccine having this side effect, actually it will increase the negative impact, increase the vaccine hesitancy. Actually, this is not what we want. Actually, we want to decrease that, but at the end of the day, because of those issues, it will increase again.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Dr. Shanda, I'm so sorry. I just saw that you're raising your hand. Sorry for letting you wait, please. Dr. Shanda.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Shanda from the Department of Public Health of Middle East University. I don't have a question. I would like to thank both presenters and the moderator for the recent information about COVID-19 vaccination. Especially Dr. Guppier outlined the huge gap between developed and developing world regarding the vaccine availability, which is a very important public health issue. So thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hocam, for the comments.
Thank you very much for the nice comment. Thank you very much. We will move to the third question for Associate Professor Dr. Gulfi. I think you already covered this about the safety and the measurements, why it takes 4 years usually. So we'll skip to question number 4. If the death rate is very low for the virus, why implement severe lockdown measures and vaccinations?
Actually, we cannot say the death rate or fatality rate is very low for this virus. It's around 5%, and some countries actually have, like for the US, the fatality rate is around 2.5. It's not that low actually, and if this continues, it will kill more people, and there's no way that we just sit and wait for more people to die or have the disease. You know, there's no point of doing that, because we are trying to actually increase people's the life of the people and quality of life. You know, so this is, and you know, if you compare these previous pandemics like influenza pandemics and others, like especially this 1918 Spanish flu, I mean, there are like 500 million of people died because of this pandemic, and we cannot compare with that one and now, because like 100 years passed and the science and technology has developed like rapidly. You know, you don't have the science and technology you have today like back like 100 years back, so you cannot compare these two situation and say that this virus actually kill less people, so we don't need to control and have the strict measurements. And another reason for these lockdowns once we confirm the virus, and because last year during March, it was very new to everyone, and nobody actually knows what kind of virus is that, what kind of disease, what kind of consequences people will have if they are infected. So everybody was in shock. I think even you know, once the genome released, people actually really straight think about developing vaccine, because this is the only way out. You cannot keep people at home, and you cannot keep asking them to actually keep the distance. It's not actually working. So the only way is to actually cut the transmission by having the vaccine. So I think that's why lots of countries depend on the public health measures since the beginning of the pandemic, because that's the only way to reduce the mortality and morbidity among people. So because there's no vaccine, there's no drug, actually medication that actually treat people effectively, and you don't know what's going on, and you don't know what kind of symptoms people will have, and what are the high-risk population. So many unknown factors actually. So the best measures were lockdown, you know, stay at home, or just keep the distance and wearing masks. Even wearing masks, in my opinion, the suggestion from WHO actually came late than it's supposed to be, because at first they say no need to wear masks. So many people actually didn't really think about wearing a mask. And once the disease spread, you know, and rapidly, then they decided to actually ask people to wear masks. So this is kind of measures that we have to follow, and the lockdown is the best way. So it's not actually because this disease is killing less people, we cannot think that way. We should try to control the pandemic, and from now we should actually prepare for the next pandemic, and we should actually keep in mind that what we should do and what kind of measures. And this is actually very important to improve people's knowledge and, you know, the awareness about these protective measures and what we should do if there's any pandemic in the future. I think this is my opinion about this. I don't know.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, for Dr. Gulfi also, COVID-19 vaccines have become good and recommended by WHO, but EU considering green passport or vaccination passport. What is the difference between someone get vaccinated by Pfizer and other by Sinovac?
I think these developed countries, they try to protect their own population by doing this. This is another way of showing vaccine nationalism, actually. For me, I feel this is another way of them to actually being selfish and just try to protect their own population, because they are using those vaccine that is approved by the WHO and their own vaccine, you know, this Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca vaccine, and also J&J. Even they don't like J&J vaccine, and some developing countries, they don't have J&J, you know, but some population in these countries, they are like so, how to say, high class, so they don't like even J&J vaccine. So this is kind of irony, here. So those countries want to, they already start vaccinating their population, and other countries not yet. And other countries, like those who can vaccinate their population, they are using other vaccines. As I said, there are 14 vaccines in the market, and 10 of them actually not approved by WHO. Like in Turkey, we are using Sinovac. I'm actually vaccinated. I mean, something like that. And also some other countries, they are using other vaccines, like from Russia and from other countries. So those vaccines, people are vaccinated using these vaccines, and it's not approved. So they are not sure if those vaccines are effective and how long this effectiveness will last. So those are the unknown questions, about vaccines. So we don't know how long it will cover, So that's why I think those countries want to make sure that other people have other vaccines, cannot come to their countries, so they can actually protect their own population. So this is the, I think, main agenda behind it. And I don't think it's possible, or I hope that this will change slowly, because other countries also, if they can access to other AstraZeneca or other vaccines, but it seems like not very soon, it's possible. But I don't know. I don't think this is doable, because they cannot just lock down and ask everyone to have the vaccination passport and stuff. But this is kind of, I think, idea to protect their population, and same mentality, I think, with vaccine nationalism.
Yeah. So in conclusion, we have vaccine nationalism and also the green passport. It won't happen.
No, I don't think it will happen, but it's just some idea I think they come up with. But in that way, only how many countries can actually open their borders to other countries. Lots of countries, people cannot come to their country because they don't have the vaccine that they approved, I think if you vaccinated with Pfizer vaccine, then you can go to those European countries. But if you are vaccinated with Sinovac or the Russian vaccine, you cannot go to their country. So this is kind of nationalism, apparently. So I don't think this is something good, and it wouldn't happen, I hope. I don't know. This is just some kind of ideas from some countries. And then another question was about what is the difference between these two vaccines, right? Pfizer vaccine and also Sinovac. So
yeah, like someone getting vaccinated by Pfizer and someone getting vaccinated by Sinovac. The aim is to fight the COVID-19, the coronavirus. So why they make such an issue about the green passport? Both of them are same. Both of them have the same aim.
Yeah, they have the same aim, but we know, Pfizer vaccine. I mean, this how the trial was conducted, and we have the data and the results very clearly about this Pfizer vaccine, and we have all the data about side effects and how many percentage. Like the Kaya just showed us, how many percentage people will have what kind of side effect. So we have some kind of ideas about this Pfizer vaccine and effectiveness and safety about it. But Sinovac vaccine actually did not get approval yet, but it's actually conducted some trials in different countries among different populations. So the population actually participated in the trial are very fragmented. So we cannot say it's applicable for everyone. And we don't have a data actually really published to get the approval. So we are not sure what will happen and how the effectiveness is. But in Turkey, the government actually say that the trial shows that the effectiveness is around 90%, but in Brazil it's like 60 something. In Indonesia, it shows different kind of results. So we are not really sure about the effectiveness, but it's a vaccine, so it's better than nothing. So if you can get any of these vaccines, you should be vaccinated. I mean, it's better than nothing. So we have to actually get vaccinated, and later on, maybe in April, I guess they will publish their results. Then we will have more idea about, about other details about these vaccines. And as I said, the difference maybe will be if you want to go to European countries and you cannot go there because you wouldn't have the passport, the vaccine, but because Sinovac vaccine is not really recognized in the EU countries, so this might be one of the differences.
Right, thank you very much again. And the last question from the previous questions for Professor Dr. Kaya. Like, this is the question that I got a lot, like repeated every time in the application form. Should we, as a youth, as a young people now, the students and the medical students and all the students, should we get vaccinated? Yes or no? And which vaccine do you recommend? That's the question that always repeated. The microphone is not open. The microphone.
Yes, all medical students must be vaccinated, especially in the first, fourth, fifth, and the intern doctors. They are coming to hospital also. But now we are vaccinated only intern doctors until today, because the government sent us the vaccine by the numbers. In the first vaccine group, we prepared a list. List contained 1,637 people, including the students also. The government sent us only 1,000 vaccine. In the second group also, we leave the same things. That's why we are until today vaccinated only intern doctors. In the next fourth group, we are waiting. We have sent our list to the Minister of Health. In the fourth group, the class 4 and 5 medical students also in the list. If the vaccine comes to us, we will use to you. Which one you can choose for the answer is only one, because we have only one, only Sinovac vaccine comes to us. But if you ask which one do you choose, as a person, as a Dr. Kaya, I chose Sinopharm, because this vaccine prepared by the traditional way. Until today, as a child, we use these vaccines, and the new vaccines methods, we don't know very well the side effects and what will happen in the future. That's why I prefer COVID-19 vaccine as Sinopharm.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Okay.
And now this is the end of the session for the question session. Thank you very much for all. And on behalf of our team, I would like to thank our honorable presenters for sharing their knowledge and experience with us. I'm very honored to work with you, Professor Dr. Kaya and Assistant Professor Dr. Kofia Shukur. Thank you for Dr. Rosen Asud and Dr. Shanda for attending too. It's nice to see you. Hope that all participants have benefit from this conference. Thank you for everyone for attending this conference, and hope to see you all soon and in the next events. Stay safe and good night.
Thank you, Amin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great event.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.